This city doesn't hand out respect. It watches. It waits. Then, when you've proven it, it remembers your name. And once it does, you don't need to talk loud. You just take your seat back here and tell the truth. Ryan, good to have you. Ryan Christopher. How would you like me to introduce you? You're like an entrepreneur on multiple fronts, right? Like I know of 3 different businesses you have.
Yes.
And do you still actually coach as well?
Not with my daughter
in high school. How you find time?
Yeah. So when she graduates next year, she's a junior. I think I'm definitely going to hop back into the coaching circuit for basketball. I don't know if it'll be club ball, high school, collegiate.
Yeah.
Not really sure.
All right. So, and how many kids total do you got?
I got 2. I've got a 19-year-old, and then my daughter's 17. So they're a handful. They grow up so fast.
Oh, don't they?
You know what I mean? And it's just like everybody tells you when they're young, when you blink, it feels like they're a whole lot older, and you just miss those moments. And it's like, dadgum, they were so right. It just goes by so fast.
Well, so that's something that I really want to get into. I heard this interview with the CEO of Camping World, and he said any CEO that tries to tell you they're a good father, husband, and CEO is lying to you, right? You know, it's kind of like that saying you can get something cheap, fast, or good, pick 2.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Pick 2 and you're missing out on 1.
Yeah, if you're getting it done fast and good, you're not getting it cheap. If you get it done cheap and fast, you're not getting it good, right?
Yep.
So that's one of the things that I'd really like to talk to you today is because you actually split your time among at least, like I said, I think I know of 3 different businesses you do, right?
Yep.
So we have, you're a Smoothie King franchisee.
Yep, Smoothie King franchisee.
You have created your own networking, well, I wouldn't even say networking. I'd like to get, more mastermind.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, obviously networking is part of masterminds.
Yep.
You've launched your own one of those. I'm a member of the very first round you did,
The first round, yep.
And you're launching the second one.
And maybe even a third.
That's fantastic. I mean, I would imagine with your reputation in the community based on your first business we're about to get to, you have significant contacts of business owners that would want to be part of that.
Correct. Yep.
Right? And so that's actually how I met you. What's the name of that business? Because it's fractional.
My fractional CXO.
CXO.
Right. So the X is a fill in the blank, right? So it can be operations, sales, revenue, marketing. There's a lot of variations. I don't get into the F part. I always say F that, right? In terms of the finance, and that's a different breed of person, right? So I say I don't like the F part of the C-suite.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anybody know what the speed limit is on this road? I think I got a
it's
cop
50.
50?
Yeah.
All right. So really what the whole point of this podcast is about, right? Is like when did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Did you start off as that? Did you start off in the corporate world and then get out of the corporate world? Like what's your origin story, so to speak?
It actually started when I was 14.
14.
And, 14. And so thankfully my dad, he was a medical doctor and he had his own practice, pretty financially well-to-do. But he always, when I was young and I wanted to go buy stuff, he said, well, how are you going to make money? And so I was like, I don't know. I'm 14 years old. What do I do to make money? Actually, it may have started when I was 12, middle school. And so I was looking at all the houses that are in the neighborhood. And I was like, you know what I could do is I could just go mow lawns.
Oh, sweet.
And so he bought me a lawnmower it was like $450 at the time. And I got like a weed whacker, and I went door to door and just started knocking on all the houses and was like, hey, I'd love to mow your lawn. I'd do it for $10, $15.
Yeah.
And that was so much cheaper than everybody else. I was doing 15 to 20 homes a week.
Wow.
In terms of mowing lawns. And I felt great when a month later you got $400 as a 12, 13-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're rolling deep.
We're rolling way deep. And so that's really where it started is I learned about you get this level of independence and you're able to charge for your services a fair rate. You kind of get rewarded right away in building that. And I mowed lawns for probably 4 or 5 years. until I left high school to go to college.
So what, did you ever run over somebody's pet dog or bust a sprinkler line or cut some toes off?
Trust me, definitely busted some sprinkler lines. That absolutely happens. Even through some rocks that would come out and it would actually hit, thankfully no windows broke. But the one guy though, he taught me about perfection. He was the only customer that actually wanted me to mow his lawn in 2 directions.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I had to cut his yard twice, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody else just didn't care. Yeah. He wanted that look.
Yeah. Now, did you charge him 20 for that, or did he still get it for $10?
Well, that's when I was young and dumb and didn't know to charge more for it. So I was charging him the same fee.
Yeah.
But he graciously would actually pay a little bit more when it came down to the monthly the invoice that I would send him, because he knew it would cost extra time and money.
Yeah. So you actually were sending invoices to your lawn care people?
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. Did your dad teach you how to do that too?
He taught me all sorts of stuff about business. He even taught me, like, when we'd get snowstorms. I grew up in Colorado. It's unlike here in Kansas City. Like, we had 11 inches of snow and the whole city shut down.
Yeah.
Out in Colorado, you get 11 inches of snow and things keep moving on.
Of course.
And so we were getting ready to have a big snowstorm, and he was like, "Hey, let's go get a snowblower." So he bought me this big, snowblower, and we went out there, and man, I probably did every driveway when we get those big snowstorms. And I mean, you talk about big money at that time too. So, he taught me to really start thinking bigger and seizing opportunities, that it was much more than just a seasonal kind of business.
So what did your dad do?
So he actually has got about 60 medical patents in the medical field.
Okay.
So he invented the very first procedure. You probably have seen people with emphysema and they got like a little tracheotomy, and they're carrying around an oxygen tank.
Yep.
Right. So he invented that process and procedure back in the 1980s.
Wow.
And that kind of got him on the map for a lot of things.
Okay.
And so he's been an expert witness and court cases and things like that, just because of he was in pulmonology.
Yeah, so even though he was a doctor, he still had that entrepreneurial kind of bug going on.
Absolutely.
That he kind of piggybacked onto his medical professional career, so to speak.
And then we actually learned that within my dad's side of the family, it actually went. We had generations of entrepreneurs, and so my mom had an old book that was written about the most influential people in Colorado back in like the early 1900s.
Okay.
And come to find out, my great-great-grandfather was the very first Ford dealership owner.
No way.
Yeah, in Colorado.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
See, so that goes to a theory I have, that being an entrepreneur, I can't even say the word, is a genetic defect. And it's probably inherited. There's something wrong with all of us deep down inside, and it's passed on from generation to generation. That's just I don't know why else we do it,
Yeah, but when you think about it, I think there's a lot of merit in that. I mean, my daughter, she's 17. She's a junior in high school, loves playing basketball. She's involved in our Smoothie King business a lot. Yeah. And she almost is acting like she owns it. And I think she may eventually want to take it over. That's kind of the long-term play, right?
Well, that's something else I want to get into is I'm going to let you finish that thought, but then I want to go back towards the end of this. I want to get into what your exit strategy is.
Yeah. So, but that, she's kind of thinking through that stuff too. And she's actually doing culinary school because she really likes that. So she's doing it at the local Kansas Community College.
All right.
And she understands that if she wants to go play basketball in college, not every school's got a culinary program.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get all that core stuff done her junior and senior year.
Okay.
So then she can go play basketball. And if they have a program, great. But if not, she can finish it up later.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
The youth is pretty smart nowadays. A lot of people don't give them a lot of credit. I think they're a lot smarter than what a lot of us may give them credit for.
Oh no, that's absolutely true. There's so much that they know how to do, and I can barely wrap my head around.
Right, for sure. Yep.
So you start off in the lawn mow business. Your dad kind of mentors you. Do you recall any kind of friction between your mom and your dad as your dad pursued his entrepreneurial side?
They're pretty private, and so I really wasn't exposed. I know we had some Christmases that weren't as we didn't have as much money.
Yeah.
They kind of made that known, and I think that may have been because my dad had one of his businesses failing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, you got to think he's a practicing physician and
Yep.
he's operating other
Yeah.
businesses outside of just being a physician and having his own practice.
Yeah. No, we were just on the way over here, I was mentioning one of my favorite sayings that I learned from this other guy is that when you own your own business, one day you're buying a private island, the next day you're shoving your head in an oven.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the story of entrepreneurship, right? Is not everything sticks. And I think that's what scares a lot of people from wanting to become a business owner.
Yeah.
Is that fear of the unknown and kind of the scarcity mindset of all the bad stuff that can happen. And you know what? It's right. Like it does happen.
Yeah.
And you really got to muster up and have the balls for it sometimes because it doesn't work out maybe the way that you had hoped for or dreamed about in that respect.
Yeah. I remember as a kid being told that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And when I heard that, I thought, so all you're telling me is I got to fail 9 times and then the 10th, I'm going to be rich as shit.
Right.
Oh, count me in.
Count me in.
I can suffer through that.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that's not really the way it works.
No.
But as a kid, that was my thought process is, oh, geez, I'm down.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing of why 9 out of 10 businesses fail. It's all about mindset. And when you think about it, and I mean, this even applies to me and it applies to a lot of business owners, but why do people initially start business? And for a lot of folks, it's because they can't see themselves working for somebody else.
Yep.
They've got a very particular way that they like to do things.
Yep.
And they can't stand working for another entity. And so they just say, you know what, I'm going to just go into business for myself and do this. I can do this.
Yep.
Right. But then they're very good at the skill.
Yes.
Very good at the skill.
But that's not what you need to be to run a business.
Correct.
You can be a horrible plumber.
And have a great business.
And have a phenomenal plumbing business.
Yes.
You can be an incredible plumber and have a disaster of a plumbing business.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
100%.
So what, I want to go back to like our little conversation about the genetic aspect of it, because this is something else I was talking about this morning.
Uh-huh.
A friend of mine told me that he was listening to somebody talk about how most entrepreneurs have ADD. And that they were talking about the reason why is because you've spent your whole life having to learn workarounds to deal with this. And that's all really being an entrepreneur is. You wake up every day and try to figure out how to solve whatever new horrendous problem is sprung up, right?
Yep.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think the core of entrepreneurship is they're visionary people, right?
Yep.
And when you think about visionary people, they see all these squirrels running around, right? And they want to go grab that attention and grab that new squirrel or whatever it might be. And so
yes, that's one of the hardest
that
parts.
visionary and that ADD and just having all these problems and everything, visionary people really thrive on innovation. They get excited easily about innovation.
Yep.
And so when there's problems that present themselves, that's an opportunity of innovation, right? Because you're solving something.
Yeah.
And a new idea, a new concept may be birthed from it. Yeah. And that's really what makes visionaries thrive for entrepreneurship. And so, I mean, I've met ADD people who are, you're not really going to see an operator who's an ADD, right?
No, no, you're not.
It's not.
No, that's not in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's not. But I don't view the ADD as a bad thing. I think God made us the way that we are, and if we were all the same way, man, this world would be so boring.
Yeah. So, what do you think? One of your attributes that you have to be really aware of that you think holds you back or that you struggle with or that you fight against?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, let's face it, when you come up with an idea, you've got passion behind it. You've got motivation behind it, and you just believe in it. Right. And the hardest thing is that maybe it's a really crappy idea. And it's hard to hear that sometimes, right? Because you're the author of that idea and that concept, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's a matter of having this understanding and realization that there's still a lot more people out there that are smarter than me, and they've got better ideas than I do. And if I don't have checks and balances in place to vet those things out, I run into a lot of trouble. Yeah. Right. And it's hard too, right? I mean, being an entrepreneur is sometimes like living on an island.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have the support system or the people to talk through, and it really comes down to trust or an understanding of the position that you're in.
So I think that's one of the great things. It's why I wanted to be a member of your mastermind group, right? One of my mentors tells me all the time that when you own a business, you are absolutely alone, but you don't have to be lonely, right?
Exactly.
You know, and you create that, like what you're doing. You're creating this community for us of people who are on that island. And we're all on our own island, but we can come together on your island once a month.
Yep.
And kind of do what we're doing right now, right?
Right.
Talk about the different things that we deal with and where we've had challenges and successes and how to overcome them. And
yeah.
And then the other thing that I think you do that I have not seen in other mastermind groups is accountability, right? And as everybody's witnessed in the last month, humans hate accountability.
Hate it.
I mean, we hate it.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are. In fact, I would say the more successful you become, you either go one of two ways. You either have recognized that accountability is a significant factor in your success and you're open to it.
Yep.
Or you become more closed off to it because you're prideful.
Correct.
Right?
Totally.
And in your mastermind, the way you've created the weekly coaching calls, we report to each other every month. Like, accountability is a significant part of your masterminds. What made you want to include that part of it?
No, good question. So, I can't remember if you knew this or not, but I used to be an NCAA Division II basketball coach.
Wow.
And, it was great. The kind of money I was making. My first year, I was volunteering. It was a big fat donut. I would get up at like 4:30 in the morning, start practice by 5 a.m., coaching the team. I was the assistant. And then by 3:30, I was actually heading to a place called Mardell to work retail. And I'd be home by 9:30, 10 o'clock and do the whole thing all over again.
Holy cow. You're working Army hours.
Yeah. But you love what you're doing. It's kind of how you have to cut your teeth in there. But then my second year, I made $18,000 for the whole year. And then my third year, I took a nice little pay cut and I was making $10,000 a year.
18,000 is, if you measured that by percentages of increase, you had a massive, incredible growth year right there.
Like a quadrillion percentage increase, right? But then I went backwards and I went to $10,000 and worked more hours. But what I learned is that we had the school that I was at was called Colorado Christian University. We had the equivalent of 4 full tuition scholarships. Okay. That's all we had we had to have 12 athletes on the team. Whereas all the other schools that we were competing against were public schools and they were funded. They had 10 full ride scholarships.
Wow.
We had 4 full tuition scholarships.
Yeah.
And so in order to compete in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, we really had to develop our players. We had to go get people that were not getting full ride scholarships, right? So that tells you a little bit about the talent pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we had to develop them. And a part of that development was accountability.
Yep.
We had to hold our athletes accountable to their workouts, their shots, the intensity that they put in. And as a result, we actually won games.
Wow.
We were 19-9 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And we actually finished in the last year that I was there, the #1 shooting team in the country for all of basketball in the NCAA. And we just had to do things differently than everybody else, right? So that transferred over into the mastermind and the business coaching and everything else that, I do through my fractional CXO, is that the realization we're on islands. We don't have the accountability. We don't have the coaching, but we need it. We desire it. Like you said, you hate accountability, but really deep inside, successful people want it, and they want it badly.
That's awesome. That's incredible. All right. So, I guess we kind of answered my second question, which was going to be something about you that you feel like has really lent well to your success. So other than the accountability, can you think of another thing that's just innate to who you are?
I think it would be connectivity.
Okay.
Right. Connectivity. And what I mean by that is on multiple fronts. I just enjoy connecting with people. I genuinely care about them. I want what's best for them. I'm not looking to get anything out of it in return. I just want to have some level of a way to connect with the people that I'm around.
Yeah.
But then also to be a connector, right? Like for example, with you, anytime I meet somebody that I'm like, man, this person needs to meet Elliot, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the guys in the mastermind, we were talking during our coaching session and he was bringing up information about, he was like, you need to make time and meet with Elliot. Like, you just need to make time for it, right? With Elijah and Jared and other people, right? I just want to connect people because you never know where that connection's going to go in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just, talk about Elijah for a second. We're going to bring him on the camera here towards the end of this. You know, he's the director of the I Am Foundation that Rideshare that you introduced me to him, and Rideshare has decided to make our principal charitable partner.
Right.
Like it's a life-changing deal for his charity and for all those kids that he's working with to teach leadership skills and create internships with business owners and teach the entrepreneurial spirit too.
Yeah, and it's to kids that don't get that. They don't have a household or parents that are in that generation of entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And so all like my favorite people do exactly what you just said. They're all about connecting people with no interest in trying to get something for themselves. And it really, I watch it change people's lives. You know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that boils down to just like mission and purpose. Right. And I think sometimes in business, we get so caught up in our P&Ls and our balance sheet, right? We get caught up in our customers and our deliverables and meeting all those metrics. Right? And those are important. Don't get me wrong. They're very important for your business, for scalability and all that.
Yeah.
Right. But you've got to have something that, in my opinion, that goes much further and deeper with that mission and purpose. And like what I like about Elijah is he's dealing with the youth, right? My heart is always around the youth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with Smoothie King, like we employ so many high school kids and we do things different than other Smoothie Kings around the country because we want to invest in kids. We want to make them better leaders.
That's one of the first things one of the first things I noticed. You and I were talking, you were telling me, so I don't know if you're willing to kind of go more in depth on that, but I remember you telling me all about what you do with these kids out of high school and you bring them in and the different motivational structures that you've put in place and then the results that you get out of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, so one of the biggest things that, you know, with our youth is they want to contribute and they want to learn and they want to improve, right? A lot of them do, not every kid. So, you know, we've hired kids that have more of that mindset.
Yeah.
And that's tough through the interview process because we miss some, you know what I mean? There's always some that slip through the cracks. But when we get them in, we kind of establish a culture. And what that culture is like we have no cell phone policy when they're on the front of house. They're not allowed to have their cell phone. They all got to put them in a cubby because we don't want them to be distracted. They need to be focused on our guests, right? And so we want to have this incredible guest experience because what we've done is we told them, if you create a great guest experience, you're friendly, you greet them. When you take their order, you smile, you get to know them. Maybe you do something nice, you throw in a free enhancer or something like that.
And you give them the ability to make decisions and throw in free shit.
They can do that. Yeah,
that's awesome.
They can do that. And you know, none of them take advantage of it, which is great. Yeah. But we really try to put them in a position of making choices and understanding what that can have.
Yeah.
But then even in making the smoothie and handing it off, we want them to try to remember their name. Try to remember their order, things like that. And I cannot tell you, Elliot, how many people we have come into our stores and they tell us, I mean, it's weekly. We cannot believe how great your staff is. And these are 15, 16, and 17-year-old kids, right? They feel so refreshed coming in because when they go to other stores, they're like, these kids, they just don't even look at you in the eye. They don't smile at you. They don't engage with you, right? And that means a lot to a lot of people.
Well, and so I think if I hear what you're saying, right? Like you talk about having a higher purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like to me that like even though like through employing these kids, right? You're mentoring them, you're building them up, you're teaching them skills that they're not going to get in school.
Correct.
Right? They're not getting at home.
Yep.
Right? And they get to come be mentored under you, just like your teams that you coached.
Correct.
And get taught these skills that will probably, out of everything they learn, I would think would have a bigger impact on their life than probably learning about the process of how chloroform film, I don't know, whatever that stuff is that turns plants green works, right?
Right. But that's the thing is like they know that they're going to be going into the workforce after college if that's their desire. Some won't go to college, you know, and they know that. And so when you give them a platform to excel and you give them responsibilities like promoting a 16-year-old to being a shift lead and giving them the responsibility to close the store or open the store, right? Or count the money drawer,
Yeah.
put them in a position to maybe be a peer leader, or, you teach them how to, set a certain amount of product out in advance or whatever it is. Like, they actually thrive in a lot of those environments. It's just, you have to give them a chance.
Yeah. So
you have to, and then you have to, the hardest part, Elliot, is knowing that they are probably going to fail.
Yeah.
They're going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And you have to say, that's okay.
Yes.
Right. And here's the thing, we have this running joke at Smoothie King, because a new hire, anytime they make a smoothie and they take it from the bowl and they get it and they put it in the blender, you want to know what most people forget one time and they'll never do it again?
To put the lid on.
Put the lid on.
Yes.
Man, you want to talk about a mess. You got stuff shooting out everywhere, right?
Yeah, that's good. I can totally see it.
And they turn red and they're all embarrassed, right? And the guests are watching. They got to make the whole smoothie over again, and they just feel terrible. So it never happens again. They never forget to put the lid on.
You know what? I don't know if you're like this or not, but I would never put a sign up by this blender that says to put the lid on, because I'd want every one of them to do that once.
Yeah, it just takes once. That's it. It takes one time to not put the blender.
You should have a special camera set up there that captures those new moments and then put them on social media.
We totally should. Like it's.
I mean, that would be
it'd be viral.
Oh, right? Absolutely, right? Just to have a running stream of these videos of people spraying smoothie everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, it happens to me. I got in one morning because we do a lot of catering events, for organizations and things like that, and I was in at 4:30 in the morning, had to get some smoothies going. I put the first two right onto the blender and hit start, and I walked away to go make the other ones. I'm the only one in the store, and both those smoothies erupted like a volcano. And I was like, how many smoothies have I made and I still do it?
You still do it, right?
So, but anyways.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But you got to let them go through those moments, right? Because they learn, and you have to be okay with it. And it's what I've learned too, is that instead of being upset about it, is you make it fun, right? Because they're already feeling bad.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When people make mistakes, they already feel bad.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense to make them feel any worse.
No, not at all.
Lighten the mood, make it fun.
Yeah.
Right? Because they'll have a greater appreciation for you as a boss.
Yes, absolutely. That builds loyalty, right?
Yes. Tons of loyalty.
All right. So did you ever hire somebody you had a lot of hope, a lot of faith in? Maybe you put a little bit more into them than other people, and they broke your heart and disappointed you?
Oh, man. So many. I mean, but you got to think. I mean, I used to be in a call center. I had a team of 13, 14 people for a couple years. High turnover, right? Because of performance. People just don't like that environment. I mean, I've probably personally hired Elliot over 200 people.
Holy cow.
And so there's been some that have just great potential, and you think that they're going to just light the world on fire.
Yeah.
And then they don't. And it's gut wrenching because you put so much faith and trust in it.
Yeah.
And I think now it's gotten to the point where I'm almost a little bit more numb to that and those expectations. When you're young and you're leading a team and you've got all these high expectations.
Yeah, your emotions in it.
Yeah. Now I'm just like, if they perform great, if they don't, that's fine. We'll just figure it out and move on. We'll figure it out sooner rather than later. Through all emotion, and not all emotion, but a lot of it's removed.
Yeah, less.
Right?
The longer you do something, the less it's in there.
Yeah.
One thing I truly believe is that not every problem needs a solution, right?
Yeah.
I come from the military where, some private figures out how to just do the most insane problematic thing, and then they want to create a whole system to prevent that from ever happening again.
Yep.
Well, it's like there's millions of soldiers that have operated over 100 years. It's been done one time. I don't know that we need a system put in place to prevent it from happening again, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think that when it comes to hiring, right? Because I think hiring is one of the all-time biggest frustrations and headaches for any entrepreneur, right? And I watched you put together what I thought was an incredibly intelligent, intuitive hiring process for my company. But even so, right, like you said, you still hire people and it's like, man, I thought for sure this person was great.
Yeah.
Right. So do you think it's just one of those things where there is no solution? Or do you think do you think we've been getting better at hiring people? Do you think the more you implement those things, like what percentage of bad hires do you think are getting weeded out? Do you think it's a problem that's possible to be solved? Because I know everybody's been after this.
Yeah.
It's the
hiring, yeah.
the holy grail.
Good people are hard to find, right?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a problem that's ever going to be solved because we're dealing with human behavior, right? And so what I can tell you is what's changed for me in my hiring process. I used to focus a lot on skill, right? The better that they were skilled at a particular job, I would go, okay, this person is going to be able to crush it. And a lot of times, what they could from a skill set standpoint, but you know what they were missing? The cultural piece.
Yes.
Right. And then there's been times where I've hired people that great culture fit, thought I could teach them how to do some skills, and then they couldn't do the skills.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's tough. And so I hate to say this at times, but sometimes you just gotta keep hiring people until you just find that right one, and be okay with the fact that you're going to have some misses along the way.
Yeah.
Two of my best hires at another company, one person, she became account manager. You know what she was doing before that?
What?
She was selling eyeglass stuff. She was at a visionary place selling glasses, sunglasses, and prescription sunglasses. Absolutely crushed it. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then another guy that crushed it, he was stacking shelves over at Frito-Lay. I took a total gamble on him. Just something felt right.
Wow.
And he became eventually a multi-unit or multi-presidents club winner for a very large national brand.
Yeah.
Huge national brand.
Yeah. See, what's funny is you hiring somebody from Frito-Lay worked out for you. The Secret Service hiring somebody from Frito-Lay, not so much.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Because
that's happened before.
Bad jokes. No, we might edit that one out or leave it in. I don't know.
Right. But I mean, that's the thing, is that the whole key about hiring is there's a lot of great systems and processes. And I've learned over the years, it's more about the DNA of who the person is, not having as much weight on the skill set. Skill set's important. Don't get me wrong. Right. Yeah. But it's really about who and the culture fit that's there. Are they coachable? Are they trainable? Those are all things that have to be kind of weighed out.
Yeah. And I do think that's one thing that I've learned. I feel like I don't care how much you know. I don't care how good you are. If you don't fit into the culture of the company, you're a cancer to the company.
Yeah, it ain't going to work.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't math out.
And then even if you are a fit in the culture, and one of the most important lessons I've learned in life is that, and I learned it through dating actually, is just because we don't work as a couple doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, and doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's the whole trying to get a fish to climb a tree or a monkey to swim thing, right? If you take something that's naturally supposed to fit in somewhere else and try and force them in, it's just not going to work, right? They could be a wonderful person. They could have all the great work ethic and skills and culture attributes, but this is just not the right fit, right?
Yeah. I mean, and there's an old phrase, and I don't know who coined it or whatever, but it's, are you trying to fit a square peg into a round hole?
Yeah.
Right. And I can't even tell you how many
There's nothing
times,
wrong with square peg. There's nothing wrong with a round hole.
Peg. No, not at all, right? It's just, are you trying to fit a square peg into a round hole?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get too caught up on that at times, and we just kind of have to say no and cut our losses.
Yeah.
And just move on and just accept that it's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you let somebody go, do you feel you're hurting them or helping them?
100% helping them, even to the point where I've had people throw their key badges at me.
Wow.
I've had people throw stuff at me, cuss at me, scream, yell.
And you have them ever come back and apologize and
never.
And thank you?
Never.
Oh.
Not the violent ones.
All right, I got one up on you then.
Yeah. Not the violent terminations, right? And what I mean by that is just their behavior, right? But I've had to let people go for performance that were just really good people, and I can't tell you how many of them actually have come back to me and are like, "Hey, Brian, that was the best thing for me."
Yeah.
Right. I am in such a much better place right now because in me, again, that connectivity part that I was talking about earlier, I want to connect with them, and it's like, hey, this isn't a good fit, but here's something I think you'd be really good at. Having gotten to know you after this time,
Right.
I'd recommend maybe you start looking for this kind of job.
Yeah. Right. And that,
Right?
like, that's an empathetic leader, right?
Yeah.
So are you familiar with the leadership style called the benevolent dictator?
I'd love to hear you talk about it.
Yeah. So this is my favorite form of leadership. All right. The benevolent dictator is just acknowledging that you as the leader are the only one that has the full picture of what's going on and what's required. And you're benevolent, meaning that you care about every single one of those people.
Right.
Right. So when you sit somebody down, you say, hey, look, like, you know, I know you.
Yep.
I have a different perspective of you than maybe even you do. Right. Or even your friends or family. And this isn't what's best for you. Like the conversation you were talking about having.
Right.
And I know that human nature, fear, uncertainty, and doubt prevents people from taking action, right? I think
100%.
I think you know as well as I do, this is not a right fit for you. But if I don't cut you loose, you're not going to leave.
Right.
And you're not going to go find something better. But I promise you, it might not be the next job. It might not be the one after that. But if you keep exploring, you're going to find your thing.
Correct.
And you're going to be grateful I cut you loose. Because change and all that is scary, right?
Very. Yeah.
And so I think I was introduced to the idea of the benevolent dictator a long time ago, and it really resonated with me.
Yeah. I love that. It's a great definition. Right?
Yeah. So what's the as an entrepreneur, what is the nuttiest, craziest story you got from owning a business and running a business, hiring people? Hit me with something good.
Man, I've had employees steal equipment.
Okay.
You know, he's doing a carpet cleaning business.
All right.
And steal equipment. And actually, this one was terrible. It was the same guy that stole equipment. We would get a call at like 2:00 in the morning from the police because he was driving our carpet cleaning vehicle out. Okay. And like literally, because they would come knocking on our door and wake us up. And the kids were a lot younger. They were babies and sleeping and all that stuff. And it happened multiple times. Just boom, boom, boom. Police officer knocking on your door, and you're just trying to scramble out. You're going like, what in the world happened? Yeah. What's going on? And they're like, we need permission to search your vehicle. Why? Well, what do you need permission for?
Yeah.
You know, well, your employee was driving it. It's 2:00 in the morning. And we pulled them over, and we'd like to search it because we think there's drug paraphernalia on there.
Oh my God!
And it's like, oh, wake up call.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had no idea this was going on. We were wondering why gas was running a little bit high on the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so, but
you were you confused that one of the cleaning chemicals required was wrapped in blocks and white powdery, and he kept promising you just mix it in.
Yeah, mixing stuff.
There's detergent.
Right?
Just mixing the water helps clean the carpet.
Yeah, right. But that, I mean, you know, I say it's crazy because it's just something that's unexpected, right? It's just totally unexpected. You don't plan for that. You don't plan for the cops showing up at your door asking to do a search on a vehicle that you own. You know, I mean, that was just. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
We were like, yes, you can search it. It's not, you know, if there's anything that's not carpet cleaning related.
Yeah, can you cut me in on it?
Yeah, it's not ours, right?
It's definitely not mine.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been fortunately with Kim and I, like we haven't had just like I don't know. Everybody has a unique story or what they think is unique in perspective, and I could probably list a whole bunch of them where I'm like, man, it's just kind of part of owning a business.
Yes.
Somebody else goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
You know?
You're just like, that's another Tuesday.
Yeah, it's because you get so many of them, right? You get numb to it, and it's just kind of like, oh, you fired somebody. Like who throws their key card at you? Yeah, right.
I know,
you know,
right?
Oh yeah, you know, it happens all the time.
Yeah,
you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah, gotcha. So you mentioned Kim. So how closely do you and your wife work together in the business?
Yeah, we've had to learn to stay in our own lane.
Yep.
And I think that's healthy, right? And when we cross over into somebody else's lane as it comes to operating the business, you know, we run into some challenges. So I'm the dreamer, the visionary that go find opportunities.
Okay.
And she's the one that says, well, you're just putting all this on my plate, right? Because she's the operator, right? And that's how operators naturally think. But if you don't have an operator as part of a visionary, then the execution never happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so she's the operator. She's the person that's always behind the scenes. making everything happen. It doesn't get done unless she's doing it, because I'm not doing a lot of that stuff, or thinking that way.
Yeah.
So like, I'm chasing squirrels, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you guys have been at this for a hot minute, right?
Yeah.
In one way or another. You mentioned the carpet cleaning business when the kids were younger.
Yeah. Then she also owns a promotional printing company where they do like, trinkets and branded swag and things like that. That's still doing. So she operates that. And then, I've got the My Fractional piece. We've got the Smoothie King. This is actually kind of one of those hard things about being a business owner is, we were at the finish line of opening a second Smoothie King store.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And, you get to opening a store, you're working with the landlord, you're trying to work out the construction details.
Yep.
And then, things are getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And then at some point in time, you're going, we're missing our huge window of where we make our cheddar. Right, we're missing out on it. So what do you do?
Yeah, because like your business would be somewhat seasonal, the smoothie business.
Very seasonal.
Yeah, and so
it's March through October.
Yeah, and so if you opened up in October,
it's detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we were trying to open in March, and then they were talking June 1st, and then they wanted to change the language in the contract to get rid of our rent abatement and some of the other things around the delivery date. And that's just one of those things where you just got to cut your losses.
Yeah.
We already had a significant amount of money invested into it.
Yep.
But if we're having these issues before the construction process even starts, what is it going to look like over a 10-year lease?
Oh, nightmare.
But that's part of the entrepreneurship, right? Is like, it's a big chunk of money. It's going to take a while to recover from.
Yep.
But, it's either that chunk now or it's a much larger chunk later on, potentially.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And what do you want to deal with? So that's the hard part about owning businesses is you're gonna face a ton of challenges that you can't predict. You just can't.
Yeah.
And you just have to adjust on the fly and make the best decision that you can in the moment with the information that you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in the beginning of this, you had mentioned, is it your 19 or 17-year-old that might be interested in
17-year-old, my daughter.
17-year-old. Your daughter possibly like taking this over. So out of all these businesses, the promotional business, the Smoothie King business, the fractional business, and the masterminds, which one of those, let's pick one of them. Which one of those do you see, like, is one of them more than the other that you want to like try and scale and grow and develop into tons of locations, or is it like you feel that way about all of them?
Yeah, well, you're asking a visionary, Elliot.
Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. But
of course, my answer is going to be scale all of them.
No,
right?
But it's like asking a parent with their kids.
Yeah.
You're not going to ever say on camera which one's your favorite. But
well,
it's probably the one that reminds you the most of you when you're there. Right?
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Like, my goal with the Smoothie King is always to have 3 to 5 open units. Okay. So 3 to 5 stores is my goal. Not super huge, just enough to be manageable. Something that could be sold if my daughter didn't want to take it over, or it could run and provide that passive income.
Yep.
But the My Fractional piece, that is a business that really hits my heart and soul on so many levels, right? And so that one I'd love to scale out.
Is that because you're like getting to support entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I just, it's more of that coaching, right? I get to do that coaching and accountability.
Yeah.
Which I just love. And I love seeing the growth and development that owners have and just the impact that makes, right? That really does a lot for me, just internally.
Yeah.
And so, I'd love to grow it out. Nationally, I've got this AI virtual role-playing SaaS program that can be scaled throughout the entire United States and hiring salespeople. The coaching, you could always bring on fractional sales managers. You can bring on other fractional coaches, part of the system. So there's a lot of scalability within this business, and it's one that's closest to my heart and soul. I love the Smoothie King. I do, because I think it's a great brand. It's got a great product. Everybody within the organization on the franchisor side is great.
Well, do you ever? But okay, so I got a question for you about that, right? Because when I was growing up, it was Orange Julius, right? And then it was like Jamba Juice, right? And so
smoothie,
And so, what do you think like causes these? And I know I want to get more onto what your exit strategy is here, but my brain goes off on tangents. So
we both
have you ever? Squirrel.
A squirrel. There's one right there.
Yeah. And, it's a problem with taking a bump of coke before you do an interview. It's really hard to focus. So, but yeah, do you ever look at those other business models that came before it and think that Smoothie King's got a shelf life like every other one did?
Okay, so Smoothie King actually was created 50 years ago.
Holy cow.
So guess where smoothie came from? Smoothie King. The original founder coined the term smoothie.
No
so
way.
all the other brands are knockoffs
Got
of
you.
Smoothie King.
Okay.
And so what's nice about Smoothie King, the new it came under new ownership in like 2012, 2013.
All right.
And the guy, his name is Juan Kim. He is a phenomenal leader, and he's an innovator. And so he and his team are coming up with these ideas and things that are on the horizon for Smoothie King that are going to be literal game changers for the brand.
Gotcha.
And so they're constantly
driving
innovating.
forward.
They're driving forward. They're the brand standard.
Yeah,
when
they're
it
not
comes
just
down
going
to
to put up a
smoothies.
bunch of shops and keep selling
Correct.
the same stuff every day,
Correct.
day after day, until people quit buying it, and then you start to shrink, collapse.
Right. I mean, and I can't say what they're working on just because of our franchise agreements and being on the franchise advisory council. I've got
Give some
information.
insider
But
trading information.
the stuff that's coming
Yeah,
is going to be huge.
awesome.
Huge for the brand.
All right, so right now
So it's exciting.
to give the world financial advice, should you? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. It's a private company, so sorry, Elliot, you can't advise your clients to invest in the Smoothie King.
I'm not allowed to give financial advice. Nothing you hear here, anybody.
Exactly.
Get some financial advice.
Right. Except for Doge.
Except for Doge. Jeez. Just put all your money in Dogecoin. You'll be all right.
Yeah, right.
That's sarcasm, regulators. Sarcasm.
Sorry, we're talking about Doge government.
That's right.
The Doge coin that our revenue is going to support.
That's right.
Our
That's
taxes.
right. Yeah. Okay. So you want to build Smoothie King up into 3 to 5 locations. You could, package that, sell it if your daughter doesn't want to take them over.
Yep.
How would you ever scale and sell
Fractional business?
the fractional business?
I've got to delegate more.
Okay.
I either bring in a partner or two that are operators.
Okay.
That's what I'm lacking, is just a real sound operator in the fractional space.
Okay.
I've got to hire some salespeople.
Very human. That business would be very human intensive, would it not?
Very,
be?
very, very much so. But I mean, it takes capital to do this stuff, right? And
Oh, absolutely.
we got a lot of our money tied up on the Smoothie King's front, and so
Gotcha.
on the fractional side, I'm just letting it self-generate the growth in it and of itself through the mastermind, the fractional coaching, the C-level coaching, all those things that I'm doing.
All right.
But
Sweet. And then what are your ideas and your plans for the mastermind groups? Think you can turn this into a national mastermind?
I do. I think it could be done via Zoom or a Microsoft Teams meeting. Obviously, it wouldn't be done during lunch, right? I think that connectivity piece is great.
Yeah.
But I think opening it up nationally will provide just some different levels of connectivity with people throughout the country and different mindsets. So I'd love to take it on a national level. I don't think it has to be something that can be done in person. That's to be determined. I haven't thought about that. But with the pricing model that I've got, I've tried to really make it to where it makes sense for businesses. It's just enough to have an accountability piece,
Okay.
right? But it's not so much that you're like, oh my gosh, this is breaking the bank. It's turning a lot of people away from it and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know I should charge more for it, but again, I think I'll get some clients, get some referrals. I'll get stuff that happens after it. And again, I'm not doing the masterminds to make money for everything, right? It's really just an accountability piece that could potentially open up other avenues of revenue stream.
Gotcha. So what are you doing for your retirement?
Man, I don't think I could ever retire.
Okay.
And, I just don't see myself sitting at home, like my parents or whatever, and just watching TV.
All right. So what are you doing for your wife after you die of a heart attack and she's still alive?
Yeah, it's
let me change the question.
That's why we got Smoothie King, so she can keep.
Okay, so that'll
forward.
okay, all right.
Right. So that's so the investment strategy that we have long term. That's what we're getting at, right?
Yep.
Is that's why we're investing dollars into Smoothie King, because we feel like that can provide a pretty good return for us. It would probably equal to of what we would see in the stock market at some point in time, not right away.
No, it's got to beat it.
It would probably beat it. Yeah,
look, I'm a huge I manage money in the stock market, but nothing beats you investing your own money in you.
Right. And so, the play is if something happens to me, at least she's got some revenue coming from the stores, right? But then if we retire again, we can sell it, we can pass it down, we can do all those things, which makes a lot of sense, right? But that's our retirement strategy, is from a financial side.
Gotcha.
We're putting it in us,
gotcha,
right, through business ownership.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that is honestly, I work with a lot of business owners at their point of exit, right? Mm-hmm. And for most, that's the first point at which they end up with a bunch of money going into the market.
Right.
And it does create a challenge because it's not something they're used to. Therefore, it's not something they're comfortable with. And they're transitioning from this tangible business that I own and I control and produces revenue for my family.
Right.
To now, it's like, you want me to put, I'm going to steal your online order.
Man, you can park in the Smoothie King spot all day long.
I like that.
Yeah, you have my permission. You can stay here as long as you want.
Appreciate it. The perks knowing you, man.
That's right. Get your own VIP parking spot, right?
Get my free smoothie. Smooth little advert for Smoothie King. Yeah. Get my specialized parking spot.
Right. The dark chocolate banana. How was it?
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
I know you like the chocolate peanut power plus.
Oh, the chocolate peanut power plus is awesome.
Yeah.
I think I've had a strawberry something or other. I have not tried the acai. How do you say that?
The acai bowls.
Acai bowls.
Yeah, but you know who loves them?
Women.
Well, and Abby.
Oh, yes.
yeah. If you really want to treat Abby and make sure she's taken care of, get her an acai bowl.
I'm going to take 2 of them with me to go. Is what we're going to do.
I think she likes the goji or something like that.
See, that's a skill right there. Just being able to remember little details like that.
Right.
So, all right, cool. Well, I'd just like to really thank you for taking time to share your journey, the things that you've learned and all that kind of stuff. That's really kind of like what Rideshare is about, is just local entrepreneurs sharing, their life experiences, the knowledge they've gained, the challenges and the struggles that they've faced. And then also sharing, their wealth with, and I say wealth, there's not a single local entrepreneur that feels like they have wealth. So let's just say, share some of the things we've been blessed with the I Am Foundation. And so now we're going to hop out. I don't have to introduce you to Elijah like everybody else. You introduced me to Elijah.
Yeah. So, I've had a few meetings with him.
Yeah. So I want to get out, get some shots on the inside of your Smoothie King, and Elijah kind of talking a little bit about what he does for the episode, and we'll call it. All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Let's do it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Sweet. All right, so we're here outside one of your Smoothie King locations.
Yep.
Is this your favorite one? Is
my favorite one. That's why we're here. Yeah, it's my favorite one. Yeah, for sure. Best staff and everything.
Best staff and everything. Man, that other one.
Yeah.
You gotta whip them. You
gotta whip them. Yeah.
All right, and Elijah from the I Am Foundation. Who Rideshare has chosen to partner with due to their work with youth and helping teach them leadership and entrepreneurial skills and mindsets, which I'm going to let him talk more about. And we're going to go in. We're going to check out. Ryan's going to give us a quick little tour of the Smoothie King, and Elijah's going to talk about the I Am Foundation. So come on.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so we already got the hard part taken care of,
we
right?
do.
Yes,
you know
what I mean? So I think they were making your smoothie right now. So this is Sean.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah. So you've been here before.
Yeah.
But obviously we make great smoothies.
Of course.
At this place. What'd you get today?
I got me a protein, basically a protein shake, vegan protein shake with spinach and pineapples and a little bit of mango.
Yeah, you got to have the mango.
Yeah. So he's trying to fatten me up. That's what it is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is good. I'm excited about it. I remember the first time I sat in a Smoothie King, I'm like, maybe one day we'll work with them. And here we are today with Ryan.
So talk a little bit more about the I Am Foundation.
Yes.
Like everything that you've got going on.
Absolutely. So the I Am Foundation, we lead, encourage, and motivate others to see themselves greater than their circumstances. So it's a leadership development program for all high school, college, and middle school kids. Our college students mentor the high school, middle. So we get a chance to work with the entire greater Kansas City, from JCC, KCKCC to UMKC and Rockhurst, even Avila. So with that program, we teach financial literacy, real estate, professional and personal development, basically everything we wish we knew in high school and college.
Sure.
So having you all also as a partner in this whole thing, it's like, because now many kids get a chance, no matter what race, no matter what background, get a chance to meet an owner of a Smoothie King.
Yeah.
Because they always think they're too far to reach. So that's our program. In the spring break, actually, which I think is so cool, we do 1 week development. So kids take off of their break time, come to our program. We feed them. We give them an etiquette class. So they go to Ocean Prime or a bougie spot like that.
Why not Smoothie King?
No. We need a 3-course meal.
Yeah, right.
But Smoothie King is a part of it. So etiquette, we take them shopping and buy business casual clothing, and then we sit down and break down the finances, budgeting, taxes, all of that, and then real estate, owning, commercial to residential, and then more about yourself. So that's our program, and I'm just excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys have been at it for quite some time too.
Oh yes, so over 8 years.
That's a long time.
And 3 to 4 years in KC doing the work. 1,200 kids.
1,200 already.
1,200 kids. Yeah. And when I tell you, first of all, the gift you just gave helped us because we've been on a shoestring budget. 30,000, 1,200 kids is crazy. But you had a unique opportunity to partner to make it possible.
Right.
And we've seen increase in their personal development, in their career choices. Because, not every kid wants to go to college, but if they have a trade school in there or a working experience like this,
easy. Right. Well, you do great. It's great work that you do for all the kids. And
thank you.
A lot of it is in the underprivileged, as we would say, communities, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit more about the upbringing, kind of the situation that these kids are in?
Oh, yeah. So the kids that we work with over 1,200 kids. Out of that 1,200 kids, 120 of them are in a foster care system.
Okay.
The other half of them are spread across greater Kansas City. So it's Johnson County, that's even in North Kansas City, and then Jackson County itself, which spreads out to Lee Summit.
Sure.
So all these kids either single parent household on free or reduced lunch, meaning this is government assistance essentially, hopefully still there, right?
Yeah.
And they all are like the fathers are not in their home. So these kids come to school like Hogan Prep, for example, fighting for a future that seemingly may not be, there for them.
Yeah.
So when we come in on the back end, we provide them the encouragement, but also the systems and steps to be successful in their career.
Right.
And then when I started the nonprofit, I'm like, when I started the program, my guidance counselor told me, hey, your mom doesn't have enough money, go to community college. I'm like,
whoa.
Slow down, buddy. Tell me I can do it first.
Right.
So I basically kept on doing research on every other kid who experienced the same thing. And no matter what background I was at, it was the same thing. A guidance counselor was seemingly giving them good advice, but also crushing their dream at the same time.
Yeah.
So I designed the program and been traveling around to make sure it happens.
Yeah. That's awesome. You're doing such great work. And it's such a pleasure and a blessing to be able to support you guys. Yes. And I love what Elliot's doing too, and trying to help bring all these awesome business owners to come alongside that have similar missions and values, right?
Yes.
Because the work that you're doing is really building up our future leaders, and we need that to happen, right? Because we're all not going to be there forever.
No,
so that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank Elliot.
Hey, thank you.
Come here, guys. Give me a hug. Listen, I am grateful for these two gentlemen right here. Without Ryan, I probably would have been Elliot. Without Elliot, I wouldn't have been here either. But I'm grateful for the opportunity just to, actually see the other youth grow. Yeah. So 1,200 more kids with these donations and support from these tall brothers. I'm actually 6 feet.
And just wait until I tell you what we're gonna do next.
Oh, okay. No, I'm excited now
because I just had an idea.
Okay.
And we're gonna talk about it after. But
I'm excited.
Thank you very much to Sam behind the camera.
Yes,
and to Ryan and to Elijah. Thanks.
Let's go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Names get remembered in this city for a reason. What you said in that seat, it's part of yours now. And whether they get it or not, Casey heard you. Backseat Ballers, where the ones who built it finally speak.